goals for 2026 is to actually read less audiobooks. Well, I guess listen to less audiobooks. I saw someone else talk about this and I think it really resonated with me because it's something that I do a lot. I feel like I'm listening to audiobooks for the sake of reaching goals. Sometimes it feels like I'm actually reading and listening and experiencing the book. Other times it feels like I'm just doing it for the sake of having noise and not really the sake of listening to a book. I don't know if that makes sense. When I'm coloring and listening to an audiobook, it feels fine, it feels relaxing. But when I'm doing it while I'm working or something like that, or if I'm going 5 minutes down the road, going to the bathroom, while I'm showering, while I'm doing every little thing, while I'm doing dishes, while I'm doing that. And sometimes I do it because it helps me stay motivated on the task, like dishes. It feels like a positive reward for doing the dishes. Other times it feels like I'm doing it for the sake of just doing it. And that's what I want to stop doing. So I still have a goal of reading 50 books in 2026. I just want to spend more time reading my Kindle and actually reading for the sake of the hobby and the sake of relaxing. I feel like when I read my Kindle, I am actually sitting down and being intentional with self-care. But when I'm listening to an audiobook, it kind of feels like the opposite of that sometimes. So I want to get better about that next year. Even though I do really love an audiobook, and I don't think this means I will stop audiobooks altogether. I just want to be a little less like, oh, let's just do this just for the sake of reading a book and crossing another book off the list. I also want to be a little bit more intentional with what I'm reading and being more choosy, I guess, and not just reading books because they're popular and because I see everyone else talking about. Although I do get a little bit of FOMO and want to know why books are popular. I also want to read more sci-fi. In 2025, what surprised me was a lot of the books that I enjoyed were sci-fi. Maybe it was just like the few books I picked up were actually decent, or maybe I actually like that genre, I'm not sure. So I'm interested in reading a little bit more sci-fi books. And I didn't read any fantasy last year, so I want to read some of that. In 2025, it was just too hard to read fantasy because I wasn't enjoying anything when I was pregnant. So the thought of picking up a book that I had to think so hard on was not happening. I want to read more fantasy and sci-fi next year. That's my goal. Maybe.